The plains of Punjab are famous for sudden summer storms. A fierce gale, a sharp burst of warm rain, and the muddy gullies overflow to meet the river Beas. Choohe Ram was a fat rat who lived in Taran Taran village in Punjab. One day, as he was going home, there was a sudden storm. He decided to dig a hole in the ground and sit there until the storm blew over. While digging, he found a dry root. Such a perfect dry root, said Chooheram to himself. It'll make an excellent fire. So he set it aside carefully to take it home with him. When the skies cleared up, he set off with the dry root in his mouth. As he daintily picked his way through the puddles, he saw a poor man trying to light a fire, while his children stood around him wailing loudly. "Ow, ow, ow!" exclaimed Choohe Ram. "What a dreadful noise! What is the matter?" "My children are hungry," answered the man. "But the sticks are damp, so the fire won't kindle, so I can't bake the rotis." "Is that all?" asked Choohe Ram. "Here, take this sotti, this dry root. It will soon make a fine fire." The poor man, with 1,000 thanks, took the root. The fire burnt immediately, and he made hot rotis for his children. He gave Choohe Ram a fresh roti. "What a clever fellow I am," thought Choohe Ram as he trotted off gaily. "Fancy making a bargain like that. A delicious roti in return for a rotten old sotti. Wah, Choohe Ram," he patted himself. Hugging his roti, he came to a potter's yard. The potter was trying to quieten his 3 little children who were howling as if they would burst. "Have mercy," cried Choohe Ram, shutting his ears. "What a noise! Do tell me what it's all about." "They are hungry," replied the potter. "Their mother has gone to buy flour. In the meantime, I can neither work nor rest." "Is that all?" asked Choohe Ram. "Here, take this roti quickly and stuff it in their mouths." So the potter did, and the children immediately fell quiet. The potter was so grateful that he chose his nicest round pot and gifted it to Choohe Ram. Choohe Ram was delighted. "Oh, what a fine choti!" he cried. The choti was a little difficult for him to handle, but he finally managed to balance it on his head. He tiptoed, tink-a-tink, tink-a-tink, down the road with the pot on his head and his tail draped over his arm so that he wouldn't trip over it. He was very pleased with himself. and by, he came to a field where some cowherds were herding their cattle. One of them was milking a buffalo. He was collecting the milk in his shoe. "Oh ho!" cried Choohe Ram, shocked. "What a nasty thing to do. Why don't you use a bucket?" "We haven't got one, that's why." "And Moti, my buffalo, has to be milked before the sun rises too high," growled the cowherd. "If that is all," replied Choohe Ram, "oblige me by using this choti." The cowherd took the pot with a careless shrug and milked the buffalo until the pot was brimming over. Then, turning to Choohe Ram, he said, "Here, little fellow, you may have a sip of milk in payment." But Choohe Ram was shrewd. "No, no, my friend," said he, "that will not do. My pot is worth more than a few sips of milk. I never make a bad bargain, so I expect you to give me your buffalo in return for my pot." "Nonsense," cried the cowherd. "My moti for your choti? Whoever heard of such a deal? And why on earth do you want a buffalo? Why, you were struggling even with the pot." Choohe Ram drew himself up with dignity. He did not like fun poked at his sides. "That is my affair," he said. "Your business is to hand over the buffalo." Laughed and laughed when they heard Choohe Ram sing in his squeaky voice. So just for fun, they loosened the buffalo's halter and began to tie it to the rat's tail. "No, no," he called. "If the beast pulled, my tail would come off. And then what would I do? Tie it around my neck, please." So chuckling and sniggering, they tied the rope around the rat's neck. Choohe Ram set off at a happy trot. But when he came to the end of the tether, he was brought to a sharp halt. The buffalo would not budge from her tuft of grass. As Choohe Ram stood wondering what to do, Moti found another juicy tuft and marched off. Choohe Ram had to trot obediently after her if he didn't want to be strangled by the rope. When the cowherds roared with laughter, he took no notice but trotted on, as dignified as possible. "Ta-ta, I'm going home this way. It's much shadier." But by evening, he was dead tired and truly thankful when the great big beast sat under a tree to chew its cud. Just then, a bridal party came by. The bridegroom and his friends had gone on ahead to the next village. The bride was in a carriage which was being drawn by two young men. Seeing a nice shady tree, the men stopped and began to cook some food. "What meanness," grumbled one. "Royal wedding indeed. Not even a horse to draw the carriage? It would serve them right if we upset the princess into a ditch." "Dear me, the royal bearers have to pull the carriage like a pair of horses?" cried Choohe Ram at once, seeing a way out of his own difficulty. "That is a shame. I sympathize with you. If you will allow me, I'll give you my buffalo Moti. She will pull the carriage." "Your buffalo? What rubbish! Who ever heard of a rat owning a buffalo?" "Not often, I admit," said Choohe Ram with pride. "But look, I am leading the beast by a string." "Oh, never mind," cried one of the bearers. "I would like a buffalo to draw the carriage in my place." They ate their dinner and, thanking Choohe Ram for the buffalo, offered him the remains of their food as reward. "Now look here," cried Choohe Ram hotly. "You don't suppose I gave you my best buffalo, my Moti, that gives 100 liters of milk every day, for a wee bit of rice? No, I'm quite of age, so I will have the bride, a Voti for my Moti, and nothing else. Or I shall surely inform the king of your laziness." Alarmed by the threat, the bearers rode off on the bewildered buffalo, leaving the bride in her carriage. In the sweetest voice, Choohe Ram begged the princess to step down from the carriage. "Come with me, my dearest bride," said Choohe Ram. The princess was quite taken aback to find a rat calling her his bride, but she was afraid of spending a night in the wilderness. So she meekly followed Choohe Ram, who kept congratulating himself. "How clever I am! What wonderful bargains I make!" When they arrived at his hole, he said, "Welcome, my dear, to my humble abode. Let me lead you into our home." And he slipped into his hole. When his bride did not follow, he put his nose out again, saying irritably, "Well, madam, don't you know it's rude to keep your husband waiting?" "My good husband," laughed the young bride. "I can't squeeze into that little hole." Choohe Ram coughed. "Yes, you are a bit overgrown. Tonight you can rest under that wild plum tree." "But I'm so hungry," cried the bride. "Dear, dear, Everybody seems hungry today, grumbled Choohe Ram. I'll fetch you some supper. So he ran into his hole and came back with one dry pea. There, said he. Isn't that a fine meal? I can't eat that, whimpered the bride. It isn't even a mouthful. I want cake and eggs. Oh dear me, cried Choohe Ram. What a nuisance a bride is. Why don't you eat the wild plums? I can't live on wild plums, bawled the bride. Besides, they're only half ripe. So the next morning, Choohe Ram nibbled away at the stalks till the wild plums fell down into the bride's veil. She carried them into Amritsar, calling out through the streets, Wild plums I sell, wild plums. King's daughter I am, rat's bride as well. Wild plums I sell, wild plums. King's daughter I am, rat's bride as well.
Lelo khatte be, oh lelo meethe be, lelo khatte be, lelo meethe be, ho raje di main beti mainu chooha le gaya gher, mainu chooha le gaya gher, lelo khatte be, lelo meethe be.
The queen heard her voice and came running out. When she recognized her daughter, she was overjoyed. Everyone had thought that the poor bride had been eaten by wild beasts. There was great rejoicing all over Amritsar. Choohe Ram, meanwhile, waited and waited for his bride. When it got dark, and it was clear that his bride was not coming back, he said to himself, Well, good riddance. Brides are a nuisance. He went into his cold hole and wished he had a nice dry sotti to burn, to keep the hole warm. As he settled to sleep, Choohe Ram vowed that never again would he make a bargain. For a dry root is often better than a bride.
Sotti di main roti litti, roti di main choti litti. I gave a root and got some food. I'm such a clever rat. I gave a root and got some food. I'm such a clever rat. I gave the food and what I got is round and Cha-na-na-na-na-na, cha-na-cha-na-cha-na-na-na.